The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Good morning. Court Radio is now in session. Call 215-227-2727. When you've got legal questions, we've got the answers. This is Court Radio. And now here's your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome to Court Radio. It's April 26th and it's 47 degrees out. My Lord, we're a month into spring and it's like winter again. Did you feel the cold temperatures this weekend? I'm joined in the studio with my co-host. He's looking for something. The one, the only, David M. Rappaport.
Frigid. Looking for love in all the wrong places.
Wow, the crowd's amazing.
God, wow.
Yeah, well, it's
the biggest crowd yet.
We abuse him regularly.
They're growing.
Larry, the producer extraordinaire, who just now decided he's going to get some real sound effects.
That one, yeah, that was.
He actually brought in a group of his friends and took care of
That's
things.
an old one.
Yeah.
The slap.
So, David, could you believe it's April the 26th?
I cannot.
Yeah.
This year is flying by, and it's already, the third done.
Yep. And I made a big move this weekend. Relocated the fam to a new house. And it's like living out of boxes. I wasn't sure I was going to make it to the radio station in time today.
Can I give the address over the air?
No. No, you cannot. It isn't that I don't want friends and family to come by. Right. See, that's the people I'm really keeping the address away from, David.
Right, exactly.
And a few of my family members actually listen to the show. So, no, we don't want to tell them where I am now.
That's right. Secret.
Yeah.
It's like the president.
But I had to pick up a few things for the new home, the new boudoir. And I had some help with that from a young lady named Dion. So I go to the store, and Dion says, wait a minute, Dean Weitzman, Court Radio, you're Court Radio. And I listen all the time with my boyfriend. They're everywhere. Court Radio listeners are everywhere. And in fact, I had to pay $100 this week.
Really? You saw somebody with the shirt on?
Yes, sir.
Where? In downtown, obviously.
In downtown, obviously.
Who was it?
You
don't even remember.
I do, but it's not really nice to mention names.
Well,
it's $100. He might.
Where
not,
were they?
He might not declare it.
Where was he?
He was in Philadelphia, in Center City, near the office building.
So he purposely was...
He did. Probably walking around the block.
I know.
Over
Yeah,
and
I know
over
who it is. It's
and
one
over.
of those. It's one of our regular. I know who it is. I think.
All right, folks, if you're listening to Court Radio, you know what to do. 215-227-2727 gets you into the studio where you get to ask David and I your legal questions. And David and I, believe it or not, we have in the studio Irena Shiloh. Welcome back to Court Radio.
Thank you, Dean. Good morning.
Irena is a Court Radio regular and a My Philly Lawyer associate who's doing the domestic thing. You got domestic relations questions today. You're getting divorced. You're getting child custody support. You're talking about issues that need legal representation. You're talking about issues that when folks do it on their own, they end up calling me and saying, hey, I've been separated for 27 years. How do I get divorced? And there's a whole set of issues that develop as time goes by when you've waited that long. Not the least of which is you may not know where he or she is. So coming in and getting hooked up with an attorney early and often is the way to go. David, back to
Yes.
what's in the news?
Well, we can't ignore the biggest news story. The whole earth, stopped for a moment when Bruce Jenner was interviewed.
What? Why? What happened? Wasn't he was an Olympic diver or something?
You're such a... No, he was the decathlon gold medal winner back in 76.
Woo. I wasn't born yet.
I believe it was 70. Yeah, it was 76 or 72. No, it was 76. I'll have to check that date, but I'm pretty sure it was 76.
Okay.
And I remember that. anyway, he is a transgender, and he's making the transition from at age 65. Yeah.
So wait a minute. He's actually going to become a woman.
Yeah, well, let's be fair to what he believes that he really is one, or at least his whole being is more characteristic of a female, and he's been struggling with that his whole life. And he finally, it's incredible that the way he's doing this, though, is, publicly. Obviously, back his whole life, he couldn't even mention it, or he probably would have been shunned. But now, it's kind of, he's being embraced somewhat, and it's interesting how it's. And I didn't watch the interview, but I know that the pieces that were publicized were mainly that he wants to do this publicly, so that it could be something that helps everyone else out.
Right.
So it's pretty amazing that he's willing to do that. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what it's like to have to live.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Your life in a body that you don't really feel connected to.
Yeah,
all right.
So that was the big news story. Everyone, I don't know what the ratings were for Diane Sawyer and the whole
probably
interview,
off
but
the
it had to be
charts.
off the charts.
But
yeah.
probably
16.9 million viewers.
I was going to say not quite what Court Radio does, but decent.
Right, and I'm not begrudging the importance.
He's not
of
even listening.
I heard you. Yeah, I mean, I glossed that over. But my thought was, not to begrudge the story and the importance of it, but you couldn't get 16.9 million people to watch anything of a real global importance of like climate change debate or a political issue or something affecting us all.
Yeah.
And so
then we have
crazy.
Then it's like the crickets. You got like 6 or 7 people.
Yeah, 6 or 7 viewers, and then everyone else with an opinion, even though they didn't watch anything.
All right, we got Anthony on line 1 from Southwest Philly who's got a question. Let's start the show off right. Hey, Anthony, welcome to Court Radio.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, too, for joining us. What is...
radio voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your question, Anthony?
I wanted to know... I was involved in an accident, hit from the rear. It happened in March of 2012, and we just went to arbitration about a month ago. And when we went to arbitration, the panel heard the stories of the people that was in my vehicle, and they awarded us a certain amount of money. But the lawyer from the other side, for the insurance company, appealed the arbitration. So my question is, he appealed the arbitration. So what happens if the proceed past the date he appealed it for?
If the time frame by which one must take an appeal has passed and he didn't take the appeal until after that, the appeal can be set aside, if that's your question.
30 days.
So as long as he appeals within 30 days, it's appealed. And then the next step after arbitration is a jury trial or a bench trial. It's a trial in the Court of Common Pleas. If he waited more than 30 days, then eventually it'll be set aside and the award will be reinstituted.
Oh, okay.
Did he wait more than 30 days?
No, actually, the 28th of this month will be 30 days.
So as long as and he took the appeal, so the appeal is a valid appeal, and you're going to wait probably, what would you say, David, about 8 months, 7 months before he gets called to trial?
Yeah, it might be a little less. It might be, depending on, the time of year, but probably, at least 6 months, if not more.
Okay. And then you're going to go to trial on the case, although it could settle any time between now and when trial actually begins. And in fact, many, if not most, of the arbitration appeals ultimately result in a settlement before trial.
Okay.
So don't give up hope, but right now you're still playing the waiting game.
Okay.
All right, Anthony, thanks for listening to Court Radio. Have a great day in Southwest today.
Thank you.
All right. 215-227-2727. So let's get Irena into the conversation, David.
Okay, if you insist. No, what do we...
Well, first of all, we get a lot of calls. I want to say that we get a lot of calls for people who would like to have domestic relations representation.
Yes.
But not a lot of those folks end up becoming clients. And mainly it's because they want to try to get that done for free. They want to be represented for free. And it just doesn't work that way in domestic relations. In domestic relations, there's fees paid, retainers paid. What's a retainer?
A retainer is money that you pay in advance. So, for example, if we take a couple thousand retainer, that means that you're paying for a certain amount of hours, a certain number of hours in advance.
Okay, and why does an attorney do that? Why do I, coming to an attorney, have to pay a lump sum of money in advance when you haven't even done any work yet?
Well, because it's understood that we are going to do the work once we get the money. I'm not saying that all attorneys do, but we do. And we're not always sure that the client will be able to pay. It doesn't mean that the client is lying they will be paying, but chances are if they can't pay in advance, they won't be able to pay a month later or 2 months later.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of a contract that the client and attorney enter into. Now, are retainers refundable? Do you get that money back if you don't do all the work that you promised you were going to do?
Yes, they're absolutely refundable.
Okay, so if I've paid for 8 hours worth of work and you've only done 5, but you got the job done, I'll get those other 3 hours back.
Yes, you will get the 3 hours back. For example, if we estimate that the case will be complex, but then everything settles after a couple hours of negotiations, then yes.
But David, you and I don't get fees for representing people on personal injury cases.
Well, there is another. Well, there's another aspect of the fee thing that I wanted to bring up, which is on a case of domestic relations or criminal matter or any other case where you would charge a retainer. One of the big reasons to charge a retainer is that once an attorney gets, people don't realize it, but once you get involved as an attorney, you have certain ethical obligations to the client, and especially if you file something in court. Very difficult for the attorney to just back up and say, you know what, you didn't pay me, so I'm not representing it anymore. You have an ethical duty to represent the person, sometimes even if you don't get paid. If they don't have adequate representation, you can't just throw them out on the ground. So big reason then why you would charge in advance. You want the money in advance because then you're going to be filing papers. You're in it. And once you're in it for the long haul as the attorney. And I can't tell you how many times we as an attorney, everyone's been through. Every attorney has a story of getting involved in a case and not getting paid fully and not being able to get out of the case and just having to go through it all the way to the end. You just have to. You have ethical obligations. I mean,
and here's a total stranger, right? The client is a brand new client, total stranger to you.
Right.
And essentially, if they had you represent them without getting a retainer, you're giving them credit. In other words, because you're doing the work and then billing and getting
pretty
paid
much knowing
later.
nothing about them. Either.
Knowing nothing.
Right.
I think the better way is for clients who come in, maybe you can ask a family member for credit, and then you pay them back.
Right.
But, don't ask a total stranger that you've met for the very first time to give you credit.
Yeah. And getting back to what you said, the reason we in injury cases don't do that, it's a contingent fee, is because there's a collateral, which is the case. You know you're going to get, or you believe as the attorney, if we investigate it and it's a good case, we're going to get a recovery for you. We know there's going to be money in the back end that we can take a percentage of, and you can get the most of it for yourself. But we know that there's going to be money there. In a custody case or a criminal case or anything like that, there's no money involved. It's the person's livelihood that's involved.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And a lot of important decisions. In fact,
yeah.
Well, let's talk easy first, Irena. What's an uncontested divorce mean?
Uncontested means that the other person is not going to say, no, I'm not going to divorce you. But when people say uncontested divorce, what they mean is that they don't have any property or they don't have children, so they think that it's always simple. And in fact, it's not always simple. And there's
what are some of the problems that could pop up on a fairly what appears to be a simple uncontested divorce? What happens?
What happens when it's just real uncontested divorce where two people have nothing, no property, no children, and they both consent to the divorce? We file a lot of papers. It's really ridiculous what the courts do. They're asking for a lot of papers, and I don't think people are capable of doing that well on their own, but some people still do. And I know many people who tell me, I've been separated for 15 years and I don't have money for a divorce, so they actually can't afford either attorney fees or court fees. In Philadelphia right now, the filing fee is around $400. And unless you are on disability or SSI or completely unemployed, you won't get the IFP status, which means I'm too poor to pay the filing fees. You will get, even if you're a dishwasher and you make $800 a month or whatever they're making, you will still pay the court filing fee. So that's expensive. What does it involve?
Wait, stop. IFP, Informa Pauperis. Wow, some Latin in Sunday morning.
That's too much for me.
Yeah, Informa Pauperis, that you domestic relations folks say is IFP. Okay, go on.
Sounds some kind of omelet you order at the. I'll have the Informa Pauperis.
Hold on, we're going to take a caller, guys. We got to pay the bills here. Let's talk to Karen from Northeast Philly, who's got a child support arrears question. Hey, Karen, welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would just like to say thank you. You did reach back out to my daughter, Brandy, and she's bragging to everyone on Facebook that she will be shadowing you this summer. Thank you.
I did, and she needs to keep up with me because I move at the light of speed. Of light.
Actually, there's a huge shadow cast from that body, so she'll fit in there very nicely.
But she better remind me, too. Send me emails often, all right?
I was asking her about that. Okay, but my question is, I know she's grown now, her and her sister. She's 20, her sister's 24. And I did have child support against their father. However, he's off the radar. I don't know where he was. The last time I checked, their arrears were up to like $19,000. My question is to you, although they're grown, if I locate him, am I able to collect on the arrears and locate where he is employed at?
Yes, you would be, yes. I mean, he owes you that money, just like any money that you owe someone.
Yeah, they keep that on the books forever. But and if he got like a tax return check, that's usually snatched, or
injury case,
a personal injury case. A lot of our clients, when we're representing them on personal injury matters, will get letters from the court. And they'll lien the file so that we can't give the money to our client until we've paid it to domestic relations.
And that's even if the case has been closed, because I tried to pursue it. After they was like, well, we can't keep it open until you locate him.
Correct, but it's always going to be quote unquote open. Now you just have to open it up. That's all. It's simple.
Yeah. So. I guess the answer to your question, the simple answer is yes, but you're going to have to, locate him and show the court that there's a likelihood of recovery.
Okay. So if he ever would, be lucky enough to win Powerball or the Lotto or anything, I will be entitled. That's all I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely, Karen. All right. Have a great Sunday. Thanks for always being a good listener to Court Radio.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Hey, we got to jump on to the line with our friend Karen Asper-Jordan from the Philadelphia Freedom Fighters. Karen, welcome to Court Radio.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, God, last time you were here with Mel, and I know that he's passed away. Our condolences go out to you and Mel's family. But you're doing good work, and you've moved on to the a upcoming event that we wanted to talk to you about. What's coming up, Karen?
Well, it's been 50 years since we had the first march on Girard College, Girard and Corinthian Avenue. It was our 50th anniversary, and it doesn't seem like 50 years.
Wow.
And we're asking people to come out. We have entertainment from starting at 7:30 in the morning. We're going to have a program at 8 with elected officials, dignitaries.
What date?
May the 1st.
May the 1st.
May the 1st is on a Friday, so people can bring their children out.
What time does it start?
We're going to have entertainment at 7:30. Our program starts at 8 a.m. And at 9 o'clock, we're hoping by 9 that we'll start a walk around Girard College, which is about a mile. It'll take about a half an hour to walk. Those people that cannot walk, we will carry their names in our pocket as we walk the wall.
Wow.
And then we will enter Girard College after the walk, where we will be greeted by the students and the president of Girard for the work that we've all done to get our children in that school.
Yeah, that you broke open Girard College. You desegregated Girard College 50 years ago, this coming May the 1st, and you're going to celebrate that by doing a march around the college at 7:30 a.m. on May the 1st. If folks have any other questions, how do they get in touch with you, Karen?
Well, they can call me at 267-205-6433. We're doing this march in honor of Mel Dawn Shamlin, of course, our founder, and Cecil B. Moore, Esquire, was the man that led the marches, and they had the court case to desegregate Girard College. So while we were walking, while we were brutalized by the police department, it's a civic engagement, a period of time when a lot of things were going on in that city. But Cecil B. Moore got the gangs together to stop gang warring. He got churches, people from all nationalities came out to support the effort to desegregate Girard College. And it was all under Cecil B. Moore's leadership.
Karen, wonderful news. Thank you so much for joining us at Court Radio again and bringing it. Thanks for keeping the vision alive of Cecil B. Moore and Mel. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you so very much.
All right.
All right.
Good day. Thank you.
You too.
There you go.
All right. Very good. That's cool.
Yep. You know what? Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back in 2 minutes. We got to pay the bills, but keep the calls coming. 215-227-2727.
If you've been injured on the job and are entitled to workers' comp, you need someone fighting for you from the start. Call Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law. Don't rely on your employer or insurance company to get it right. Call 215-512-1500. If you're entitled to workers' comp or it's being challenged, Jeffrey Gross can help get the money you deserve, and he won't get paid unless you get paid. Call 215-512-1500. Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law, representing Pennsylvania's injured workers for more than 20 years. It's a legal and financial squeeze. You're unable to work because of an accident, but your legal case is still not settled, so you can't pay the bills to take care of your family. But now, thanks to U.S. Claims, you can. If you have a pending lawsuit, call 1-877-U.S. Claims. While you're waiting for your settlement, U.S. Claims can help you pay the bills. Get out of the squeeze. Call 1-877-U.S. Claims today. If you have legal problems and need answers, call My Philly lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first at 215-227-2727 for personal injury, medical malpractice, birth injury, and more. Call Dean first.
He will fight for your rights. That's what Dean Weitzman is all about.
Call My Philly lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first. 215-227-2727. My Philly lawyer, when winning matters most. For 20 years, Center City Medical Center has provided premium expert medical services for Philadelphia. Whether you need musculoskeletal rehab or an immigration physical, call 888-945-EXAM. Our board-certified physicians have more than 80 years' experience from post-injury rehab to DNA paternity testing. To make an appointment at one of our 3 convenient locations, call 888-945-EXAM. Get premium expert care. Center City Medical Center, serving Northeast, North, and Center City, Philadelphia.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome back. It's still Court Radio, and it is April the 26th, and it's chilly outside.
Chill. Yeah, it is chilly.
Yeah, it's
But
about
it's getting warmer.
50 degrees right now, and I don't think we're going to see 60s today, but
No. But we won't see snow either, so that's a good thing.
there you go. And that disembodied voice is the one and the
Disembodied.
only. The one and only.
Disemboweled.
David M. Rappaport.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Court Radio,
I'm
folks.
back.
Yes, you are.
Back from that 2-minute break. That was...
And we're joined in the studio with My Philly Lawyer's own Irena Shiloh, who's doing our domestic relations, which is booming. However, folks are always shocked. Many people are shocked that they have to actually pay up front for an attorney to represent them on domestic relations. And we were talking about David and I have talked about this. People who have been separated for decades, and they never got divorced. what are the consequences? One of the consequences of doing it that way is that when you pass away, should you have any property, this person who you do not live with and haven't for decades and isn't in your will, okay? You have a will. You wrote the will. You gave the property to your children. This person with whom you shared a moment or two of your life can elect under Pennsylvania's marital election clause to take 1/3 of your estate because they are still legally your husband or your wife.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I haven't had a case where there's been a will where the husband didn't get or the wife didn't get anything, but they were separated for decades. But I would assume that the separation would come in place. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't do wills in the States.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
No, because just as being a spouse, you automatically get. There's nothing in that statute that says a non-separated spouse.
You cannot disinherit a legal spouse.
Can't do it.
And so, if that's not reason enough, I don't know what is. I mean, you're actually as a separated person, you're actually going to have to give the person you hate. You can't stand. You couldn't live with them any longer. You're going to give that person 1/3 of your estate. Now, we may get a lot of calls on Monday morning, David, for people who have said, I was married to Janice, and she died last year. Do I get something out of that? We didn't live together for the last 20 years, but I did marry her. We never were divorced.
Right.
Yes, there is legally a claim you can put forth for 1/3 of the estate.
If there's something there, sure.
215-227.
I mean, I guess, Irena, what you're bringing up, and there may be, I don't know. I haven't done the research, and obviously you haven't either, but there may be cases or instances where you can make an argument which would effectively be trying to change a little niche of that law to say that if you are separated for a certain number of years or such a long time, what interest do you really have? And it's not fair, and blah, blah, blah. And maybe a judge would be receptive to that ultimately. But
then what the other person made and created during those years would also come in play.
Right.
Because that becomes marital property. But
that's true.
From the marital marriage law aspect, when you separate, after that, anything that you make is your own.
Correct. From the domestic relations side, once you're separated, then anything earned or acquired thereafter is your separate property. Now, there's an interesting question as to what creates separation, because I have a lot of people who call me and say, "Hey, I've been legally separated." Well, we don't have legal separation in Pennsylvania per se, correct?
No, yes, that's true. Legal separation would be when you file for a divorce. But otherwise, separation is anything that's common sense separation. So even if you move to the basement of the house and you stop sleeping with your spouse and you stop eating with them, you stop sharing the budget. Basically, when people say we live like roommates, we're not really a couple. That's what would create separation. Of course, you have to
prove it.
Yeah.
You got to prove it. So, always thinking about proof, you have to make sure that when you go into court, if you are living at the same address, you have to be able to establish that you're living separate and apart under a common roof.
Right.
Okay. So,
is that easy or is it hard to prove?
Well, it depends on how much the other person contests.
Right, wants to contest it,
yes.
right.
Anytime when your spouse, when your opponent is willing to lie, you have a hard time proving things. If they say, yes, that's true, but then the judge will say, well, okay, you admitted it.
All right, let's talk to Beverly from West Mount Airy, who's got a question about car accident. Hey, Beverly, welcome to Court Radio.
Thank you. How are you this morning?
We're all doing wonderful, thanks, and I hope you're doing the same.
Yes, I am. I have a question regarding an automobile accident that happened in a shopping mall, a shopping center. And I wasn't driving, but my student was. And we were at an intersection. And I always said, now, you must, of course, You have to wait, and you always look at those tires, please. But we were the first one at the intersection. And so the one car came to the left and the other car came to the right. So after my student she did what she had to do and stopped, and then she started moving. And this other car started going. My student thought she had hit the curb, but actually this car hit us. Now, my thing is that the woman is suing. And so my insurance company, because I did not have the kind of insurance that covered everything, they said, no, we can't handle this because of Article whatever it was. So this woman is suing for X amount of money. And I, because they said, you waited too long and the judgment is there, you've got to pay this money. So I talked to her attorney. He said, okay, you can pay this money or you could do a plan, $100 a month. I said, well, I can't afford that. I said, but I could give you $25. He said, it has to be $100. So he sent me a letter and said, I will have your license suspended if you do not pay this money. My question to you, what authority does he have to suspend my license, of which I need it to work?
There's a million answers in these questions.
Well, let me just get right.
Let's go back, yeah.
Let me just get right. Let me just cut like a razor right to the point. There is a statute in Pennsylvania that permits the revocation of one's license when a judgment exists that is from a automobile accident for which there was no automobile insurance coverage.
Right.
Okay? So the answer is, the very simple answer is, what authority? There's a statute. And the statute says that if a judgment is entered against you for damages from an auto accident for which you had no insurance coverage at the time, you were uninsured, and as punishment, and to get people to be insured, as punishment, we take your license away until you make a payment plan or pay the judgment off.
Right. Now let me go back. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Even if I had insurance on the car.
Well, that's what I wanted.
I did have insurance, but they said because of some kind of article, it wasn't enough to cover.
Let me ask you this. Here's where I'm getting at now. Okay, I'm getting from your question that you said you're a student, so you're a driving instructor, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and you were driving your own car with the student?
I was driving the car of the company, yeah.
Oh, so you work for a company, and it was the company car?
Mine. It's my company.
Your company, okay.
So when you insured that, when you insured the car,
right,
did you insure it under your own individual name, or did you tell them,
yes,
I own a...
I did.
Okay.
Did you tell them you were running a company charging people for driving the car and teaching them how to drive?
Well, actually, the company that I had it insured initially under the commercial, but
right,
I couldn't afford the commercial, so I said I have to have this car insured. And
right,
so, of course, I did. But they said because of this article and the other person was driving, they could not go into the case.
Well, here's the article. See, here's where I'm having a problem. What they're talking about is what you have is basically you own a car, you have auto insurance, but every auto insurance policy has a clause that says that they will not cover you if you're using your car for financial in other words, you're making money from driving the car or having someone drive the car. They'll exclude coverage. So if you had an agent who advised you about this and you switched from the corporate to the residential automobile insurance, you might have a claim against that agent because they misled you.
You may.
You may. I doubt it.
No. Let me explain. I did it.
Yeah.
Well, that's even worse. That's even worse for you.
The insurance,
yeah.
Well, that's worse for you.
Unfortunately, the carrier has denied the claim, probably legitimately, and this judgment is going to keep you from getting your license unless you work out a payment plan. That's the sad state of affairs.
That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Well, you got to do that, and you have to change that. And if you're doing this still, you need to change your insurance. Make sure you have that proper coverage.
Yeah, and again, the decision to or the agreement to make a payment plan has to be a two-way street. And if you can't get the other side to agree to anything less than $100, then it's either pay the $100 or keep your license lost, or lose your license potentially. So again, it's a two-way street, and obviously with the loss of license, he or she has you over somewhat of a barrel. So
I said to him, now listen, let me pay you the $25 per month now, but when I get, as my money's increased because of student volume, I can start giving more. But he said, oh no, you have to pay that, or you revoke your license. And I said, well, if my license is revoked, then
I can't
both
work
at a loss.
Right. Yeah.
Because not only would you not get any money,
right,
and of course I would not be able to pay because there's no money coming in.
Right.
How much is the judgment, just out of curiosity?
It was I think $23.87, something like that.
$2,300
or
and $87.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to have to say my best advice is to borrow the
pay it. Yeah.
Borrow the $23.87. Get a loan for your company.
Well, you can make a lump sum offer and say I'll pay $1,500 right now.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you they would take it.
Yeah. There's all kinds of ways to handle it, but in any event, we got to run. We thank you for calling Court Radio. Have a great Sunday, and thanks for being a listener. But I could have, Monica, but Monica is grabbing her
T-shirt,
and lifting.
We're playing charades here.
Yeah.
We got to figure it out. What is she doing? Is the shirt too tight? Does she have a problem? Oh no, she's talking about a T-shirt. Right?
Yeah. The infamous Court Radio T-shirt is going to go to the next caller, who's Raymond from East Oak Lane. Stay on the line, Raymond, before you get off, and we're going to get you a T-shirt. All right. So, Raymond, what's your question?
Yeah, like about 2001, I got a case for, I was trying to sell a couple pounds of marijuana. My question is, it's 2015 now. Can I get that expunged or erased?
Okay. Where are you from?
We got to have a little fun with this one.
Where are you from, Raymond?
You mean originally?
That's exactly.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
And marijuana.
Well, this is like it's a family business. Okay, so did you say 2 pounds?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And how long ago was this?
2001.
2001. That's going to be on your record until 2000 or 3001. 2 pounds.
2
of
pounds
marijuana.
is a lot of. Was this for? What was the charge? That's what I'm.
Was there a conviction?
It was a felony.
Manufacturing.
Right.
Trying to sell. I mean.
Yeah. See, if it were just possession, If it were just possession, it's still, you probably can't get it done. But you have the intent to deliver and manufacture because you had 2 pounds. Wait.
Let me ask you a question. Were you growing it?
No.
Did you have a farm?
No, I was just trying to make a few dollars. That's all. That's my first offense. I mean, I've never done it again.
You haven't done it again.
Yeah, but you can't.
Here's the deal. In Pennsylvania right now, you can't get a misdemeanor expunged, let alone a felony. And I'm sure at 2 pounds, it rose to the level of a full-blown felony. But
now maybe thinking of that law.
But nonetheless, even right now, even if you were carrying, let's say, 2 ounces of marijuana, and you got hit for a misdemeanor of possession, that is not expungible. We are working with the legislature, and we're going to have a show coming up, but we're working with them to get enacted in law with the new governor an expungement law that allows folks who do not have violent crimes to have their records expunged after a certain amount of time, 10 years, say, maybe even a little less. The law's still in flux because it hasn't been passed yet.
But even the new law that doesn't, in Philadelphia, not going after people with very small amounts, you will qualify under that one.
No, that's 1 ounce.
1 ounce. This is 2 pounds. So
yeah. The answer is, Raymond, I'm sorry to say, but no, you're going to have that on your record for the foreseeable future.
Okay, one last question. So, would that be my only offense or whatever? I mean, if I went to apply for a job and a background check was made, I mean, that could cause me not to get the job?
Yeah.
It could. Yeah,
Depending on the
unfortunately.
job.
In other words, it's not illegal for an employer to say a criminal record is a basis for not being hired.
Right.
And criminal records are actually, you can find them online for free. I run everybody's background.
Yeah.
So, and it's very quick. It's very easy.
But, you know, a lot need to change about that. I remember when I was on probation, I was trying to get a job. The probation officer said I should get a job, and a lot of people wasn't trying to hire you because of whatever charges. So it's like the state wants us to work, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot of people out there who made one mistake in their life, can't get jobs because
You're right.
of that, and that's
why we're trying to get this expungement law pushed through, because you're right. You're absolutely right.
Therein lies the problem,
That's
Raymond.
the problem, yeah.
Here's the good news, Raymond. You ready for a little shine of light on this bleak Sunday?
Yeah.
We're gonna give you, Raymond, a Court Radio T-shirt. So stay on the line.
Wow.
I'm gonna have Monica.
That helps a lot, right?
Well, here's the deal, Raymond. Raymond, if you're caught, if you find me on the streets of Philadelphia, not in my office, I have to start putting disclaimers on this.
Right.
Not in my office, but if you find me in the wild on the streets of Philadelphia wearing your Court Radio T-shirt, I'm going to give you $100. You got it?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Stay on the line, Raymond. All right. It's a hey, listen, could be worse, right?
Right.
You couldn't get a T-shirt.
Yeah, right. And
you might not get a T-shirt.
Nothing.
All
Dean,
right.
Dean, I would like to say something about expungements. Because
Yes.
I think people don't understand how important it is to expunge a record. It does cost, a few $100 to do it.
More than a few hundred.
Right. Okay. Depending on the expungement, where it is, et cetera, how many.
Well, let's just tell people what
can be expunged.
Right. Arrest records. If you were arrested but never convicted, and that's on your record causing you problems, you can get that expunged. If you were found not guilty and you have a criminal record, but it ultimately culminated in a not guilty, you can get that expunged. If it's a summary offense, you did something stupid that really just amounted to almost like a traffic citation, but it wasn't a misdemeanor, then that can be expunged.
Or anything that was dismissed, yes.
Dismissed, right. Yeah. Dismissed, you went in, and eventually they decided they weren't going to prosecute you. But any convictions, or if you pled guilty or a conviction for a misdemeanor or greater, it is not currently expungible in Pennsylvania.
Right. And it's very important to do it because employers will run a criminal background check and you will not get the job because of that. So,
yeah.
And the other thing, if people out there are familiar in Philadelphia with the ARD program, which is the first offense program where you go through this, the deal is you go through some community service and classes and your record will be expunged. That doesn't happen automatically. You can go through all that stuff, but you need to take the final step and actually file something to get it expunged.
Right. And one final point, your criminal lawyer who's defending you in your case is not going to expunge your record unless you ask them and additionally retain them for that service. So people think sometimes that it's automatic.
Right. It's never automatic.
All right, we're going to talk to Sharon on line 1 from North Philly, who's got a child support question, which seems to be just up your alley. Hi, Sharon. Welcome back to Court Radio. How are you?
I'm fine. I've been listening to you for a long time. I'm first time caller.
Well, then guess what, Sharon? Whoa.
Well, you got to get a T-shirt.
Yeah, you got to get a T-shirt. You got to get a T-shirt. Let me ask you a question. Is today the first day that you decided you actually had a question worthy of Court Radio, or were you thinking beforehand, let me call in, but you didn't?
I tried to call last week, and I had to go into work. Because I started work at 8 o'clock. So I kind of missed it. I think I got through, and the call disconnected, and then it was time to go in the building. So
now you're feeling a little privileged today because you're actually.
Wait, was that last week when Dean thought we ended the show, but the
callers were on, and
things when you were like, get rid of all the callers.
Yeah. See, here's what happens. David brings up a good point. At the end of the show, we've got 5 callers, 6 callers, 7 callers on the line. We just didn't find the time to get to, and then those callers go to the graveyard. They go to the caller graveyard, and that's done. Larry does that.
I think it's better if we just let him sit on hold forever.
Till next Sunday.
Right.
Yeah. A week later.
Right.
All right. So, Sharon, stay on the line after your call because we're going to get you a Court Radio T-shirt, okay?
Thank you
All right.
so much.
So
what's
your question?
My question kind of piggybacked off of Ken. It's a child support question. I have grown children, they're almost 30.
Hello?
Karen?
And
are you on a cell phone?
The rears, yeah, I'm on a cell phone and in my car.
Yeah, you're cutting out. We didn't hear. You got to go back to the beginning.
Okay, so I have grown children.
Right, 30 and right.
The father's a deadbeat. He is about $40,000 in child support that's owed.
Okay.
And child support has closed the case because he hasn't been working for years.
Right.
My question is, his father recently passed, and he had money in the bank and real estate, and he's going to come into that money because there's only 2 siblings.
Okay.
That money that he is entitled to because of his father's death.
Right, he's going to inherit
Am I able to sue him for my child support based on that money?
Can you wait? Let me get this right. You want to sue your own child?
No. The father of the children. The quick story is the father of the children hasn't been working. The children are all grown; they're in their 30s, but he's got about $40,000 in arrears.
Oh,
but his father died.
Okay,
and now he's going to come into an inheritance.
Yes.
So
yeah, right. I mean, if you have a child and you have a arrears, and you know that the father is coming into money. That can I don't know that
you're not going to sue him. You have to file in family court, right?
To enforce the judgment.
You file for an enforcement of your support order and get him in to explain where the money is and whether he got it and how much he's getting, and that's what the court will do. They'll force him to reveal all that information.
Now, if you want,
I'm sorry, you said you filed for what?
Enforcement. You go to family court.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Irena.
Yes.
What's your comment on that?
Yes, exactly what you said. If she knows that he's getting some money from anything, lottery, inheritance, and this is inheritance, yes, and he won't be able to hide what he inherited.
So, did he get the money yet, Sharon?
I don't think so because the house hasn't been sold and the money's still in the bank. I did go down to the Register of Will and get the information.
That's what I was going to say.
The administrator, which is his sister, filed, but she added extra people onto his 50%, which is 3 other people, which would cut his 50% down to 20%. So they were like, well, I said, well, can I dispute this? They said, well, you have to get a lawyer to dispute it. I said, well, how do you do this? You just go on the honor system? They said they go on the honor system and go by what they tell them.
Wait. When you say, Sharon, when you say that she put 3 other people on his 50%, what do you mean by that? Explain that.
When you go down there, they ask you who are the heirs.
Right.
Which would be him and her.
Right.
Brother and sister.
Right.
She added some 3 other children in there. I guess that's part of the so.
Well, children of who?
Up the total as opposed to 2.
Are they 3 other children of the deceased person or 3 other children of someone else?
Someone else.
Well, that doesn't sound right.
Well, are they? Did one of the siblings die?
No, everybody's dead except for the last 2.
But was there another sibling
Was there another,
of the deceased? In other words,
no.
Yes.
No.
So
there's only brother and sister of the deceased.
These aren't grandchildren of the deceased?
Great-grands.
Great-grands. Reluctantly, Karen says.
Yeah, boy.
Great-grands.
Yeah, you sound...
Okay,
we got to pull it out of you. All right.
Here's what happens. Let's just say I, Dean Weitzman, had 3 children. And each of my children had 2 children. Okay, so I have 6 grandchildren. Let's say God forbid, one of my children dies. When that child dies, his or her share of my estate goes to his or her children. So you could have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. In that case, 2 grandchildren take their 1/3 share that they split. It gets complicated, but and I think you started the right way, Karen. You said that they said you need a lawyer, and I say the same thing.
Absolutely.
You need a lawyer. If you want to get this money and you got a lot at stake, I'd say give us a call and talk to Irena next week and make yourself an appointment. But again, like we started this whole conversation, it's one thing to ask a question on court radio and get an answer. It's another thing to have representation and have your lawyer calling around to other lawyers and doing the work that needs to be done. And in this instance, you need a lawyer to do that, not just get a question answered on court radio. And so whether it's us or somebody else, I think you need to call and you need to get representation. And if you'd like representation from Irena, it's simple. All you got to do is call 215-227-2727. Set yourself up an appointment. She'll sit down with you, explain what's going to cost you to have representation and what she can do for you to make your life easier. In the meantime, stay on the line. Monica is going to get on and she's going to get your address, and we're going to get you a Court Radio T-shirt. Yes, Karen.
Believe it or not, I did come to your office after I left the register of wills.
There you go.
Wow.
And they referred me to Irena up in Busted Avenue.
There you go. See? See that?
All right.
The system works. Stay on the line. We'll be right back to you, okay?
Okay, have a great day.
You too, Karen. Folks, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break, but we got calls lined up. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
If you've been injured on the job and are entitled to workers' comp, you need someone fighting for you from the start. Call Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law. Don't rely on your employer or insurance company to get it right. Call 215-512-1500. If you're entitled to workers' comp or it's being challenged, Jeffrey Gross can help get the money you deserve, and he won't get paid unless you get paid. Call 215-512-1500. Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law, representing Pennsylvania's injured workers for more than 20 years. It's a legal and financial squeeze. You're unable to work because of an accident, but your legal case is still not settled, so you can't pay the bills to take care of your family. But now, thanks to U.S. Claims, you can. If you have a pending lawsuit, call 1-877-U.S. Claims. While you're waiting for your settlement, U.S. Claims can help you pay the bills. Get out of the squeeze. Call 1-877-U.S. Claims today. If you have legal problems and need answers, call My Philly lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first at 215-227-2727 for personal injury, medical malpractice, birth injury, and more. Call Dean first.
He will fight for your rights. That's what Dean Weitzman is all about.
Call My Philly lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first. 215-227-2727. My Philly lawyer, when winning matters most. For 20 years, Center City Medical Center has provided premium expert medical services for Philadelphia. Whether you need musculoskeletal rehab or an immigration physical, call 888-945-EXAM. Our board-certified physicians have more than 80 years' experience from post-injury rehab to DNA paternity testing. To make an appointment at one of our 3 convenient locations, call 888-945-EXAM. Get premium expert care. Center City Medical Center, serving Northeast, North, and Center City, Philadelphia.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Hello and welcome back to Court Radio. I'm Dean Weitzman, and it is still April the 26th. Joined in the studio with my co-host, the one and only, you know him as David M. Rappaport.
You know what I want you to call me for the rest of the show?
Yes, sir.
Lux.
Lux.
Call me Lux.
L-U-X?
Yeah, L-U-X. That's a cool name for me.
All right.
Lux.
I'm going to call you that forever.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You're going to call me that forever. Hear that? He's going to call me Lux forever.
Lux.
I wonder if anyone else is using that name.
Lux Rappaport.
I like that.
Yeah.
Right.
That sounds like something from, Boardwalk Empire. And David and I are joined with Irena Shiloh for today's show. Irena, I got a question for you. But wait, before the question, I got to do quick shout-outs on Twitter. Latino Networks, Joseph Ryan Driscoll, EJ Reader, and Cannabis News. All are tweeting us, David.
Cannabis News.
Cannabis News.
That was from our caller. The kudos to our Jamaican caller.
Yes.
But we've done the marijuana story, though,
many times.
Yeah.
2 pounds, though.
Wow.
That's quite a story.
That is.
All right. Let me say something to you, Irena. People think that they're not entitled to alimony. First of all, alimony goes to people who are in a long-term relationship.
It doesn't have to be a very long marriage, but it does have to be a significant number of years.
Okay.
The difference between spousal support and alimony is that spousal support is the support you get until the divorce decree is entered by the judge.
And, I know somebody, in my family, who was married for like a year, and their marriage ended. 1 year, that was it. And he had to pay support to his wife while they were getting divorced. True?
True.
No way.
Yes. And
Way.
It's almost automatically granted, even though the family code, the statute says the judge will decide if it's necessary. It may be ordered, but actually it's always ordered if there's a difference between the incomes.
Okay, so let's say the wife makes $20,000 a year and the husband makes $50,000 a year. Okay, there's a $30,000 differential, and they've only been married for 6 months. They realized one day they woke up and said, "What the heck did I do?" And they're now working on getting a divorce. Entitled to spousal support?
Yes. The wife was the one with the 20. Let's say that those are their net incomes, because it's the difference between the net incomes, his and hers.
Right.
And if they don't have any kids, it's 30% of that difference is what she would get.
Okay, so in my example, there's a $30,000 difference, and so she would get $9,000
a year. Yes.
A year. Wow. And what if it's the roles are reversed? It's he who makes the 20 and she makes 50.
Yeah, the sex doesn't matter.
Sex. See that, David? I told you.
Sex doesn't matter.
Sex doesn't
keep telling
matter.
yourself that. Keep telling yourself
sex doesn't matter.
After the wedding cake, sex doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
After the wedding cake. That's a quote from Irena Shiloh. After the wedding cake.
Sounds like you've said that many times before to
sex
clients.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
So your male. The husband. We usually refer to him as the husband.
That's usually the case.
The husband, and he just walked in.
Although Bruce Jenner may be changing those things after.
There you go. Sex does matter.
It does matter.
Yeah. All right. You're going to get paid if you're the lower income spouse during the pendency of the divorce. You're going to get paid.
Right. So that's 30% if they don't have kids. If they do have minor children, and if the husband in this case is paying the child support, then that net difference the difference in the net incomes of $30,000 would be minus the child support amount.
Wow. So if the husband's making less than the wife and is obligated to pay child support, because you'll always pay child support, even in that case, he can get paid by the wife.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's 40% if you don't have kids. It's 30% if you have kids.
All right, we got to stop. We're out of time. The hour goes by so quick. Folks, we'll be back next Sunday, same time, same place. Irena, David, thanks for participating. We'll see you all soon. Court Radio is over. Have a great Sunday.